Hello guys and welcome to a new video and welcome to a new episode of Q&A with Pat, the series where you ask me questions and I try to answer them to the best of my abilities. I do one of these videos a month, so if your question didn't make it to this video, don't worry about it, it might make it to the next one. Just be on the lookout for my Instagram stories. Of course, the answers are only going to be as good as the questions, so let's see what we have here today. First question, when and how did you and your band get together? That's a really good question, and there's a very long answer to that. That's actually going to be one of the Storytime with Pat episodes. But I'm going to try to make a long story short and answer your question. The band Excelsis Tenebrae actually had our first show on my 31st birthday because it was a milestone that I wanted to celebrate. But I actually wrote most of the songs back in 2005 and 2006 for my previous band, Serpenthorn. So really, at this point, the band itself is just me with different session players. In fact, the drummer for the USA tours, Roy, was actually the original drummer for Serpenthorn. So yeah, I guess in a sense the band had been active on and off. Serpenthorn played from 2005 to 2008, and now it was reborn as Excelsis Tenebrae from 2017 to the present times. Next question, which guitarist most influenced you to play guitar? I think I've answered this about 20 times already in my videos, but I'll do it again for new subscribers and stuff. The reason I picked up the guitar was because I found out very early on in my life that I was not going to be able to sing like Freddie Mercury, so I figured I'll just play the guitar like Brian May. And that didn't happen. But yeah, Queen is the reason why I ever got into music, and Brian May, of course, is the reason I picked up the guitar. If Ozzy is the Prince of Darkness, who's the King? King Diamond. What will be your next guitar to go with your guitar collection? That is a really good question. And to be honest, over the years, I've owned over 100 guitars.
OMG!
No lie, I'm not making that up. As many of you know, I was actually a senior department manager for the guitar department at Sam Ash, and that job had its perks. I would get a lot of discounts and first dibs on used stuff. So yeah, I would buy a lot of guitars, and also I had a pretty good salary, so I would invest back in getting new instruments and stuff like that. But ever since then, I downsized to about 20 guitars, and I think I've got more than enough, and I actually love every guitar I own. I've got way more guitars than I need. And of course, they need to be maintained. You have to change the strings on the guitar, you have to condition the fretboard on the guitar, even if you don't play it. So yeah, what's the point? I mean, in a studio situation like mine, it's really cool to have different guitars because they have different sounds and different colors and stuff like that, and they feel differently. But really, honestly, I only play like 3 or 4 of them. I mean, those are the ones that I play constantly. But yeah, to be honest, I'm not really thinking about adding any guitars to my collection. But if any brands want to sponsor my videos, of course I'll be adding them to my collection. I can always make room for a free guitar. But honestly, I'm not thinking about spending any more money on more guitars. I'd much rather invest that money on a better mic, another amplifier, or some studio furniture. So yeah, next question. What is the best 7-string that won't break the bank? The one you don't buy. I'm not a fan of 7-string, so I don't really know. Out of over 100 guitars, I don't think I've ever actually owned a 7-string guitar. I used to keep an Excel file with all of the guitars I own and sold, but I haven't updated that in years, so I don't even know where that file is and if I still have it. What do you think about modeling amps, Kemper, Axe-Fx, etc.? I think it's crazy how good they're actually getting. I actually got a chance to play with a Kemper at NAMM last year for the first time ever. And I gotta tell you, there's a learning curve there for sure, but it felt a lot more intuitive than the Axe-Fx, the Head Rush, the Helix, and some of those. I just really wish I had more time to sit there and play with it. I mean, there was so much to do at NAMM that I barely sat down at a place for like 5 minutes. But yeah, they are definitely cool. Kinda like plugins too. They don't sound exactly the same as blasting a tube amp right next to you, but it's definitely close enough at a fraction of the price and at a lot lower volume. So you can use it on any situation, and that's great. What is your favorite guitar that you own, and what was your first guitar? My favorite guitar that I own, I don't really know, but I can tell you which guitar I am the proudest to own. And that is my Red Special replica. I love that thing. And the fact that it was so hard to find and that it was so expensive and that I actually saved the money up and found one in mint condition and bought it makes me so happy, even if I rarely play it. I just love the fact that I can look up and see it hanging on my wall. And my first guitar I actually just sold last year. It was a Mexican Strat, and of course over the years I modded the hell out of it. It was your typical black Strat with a white pickguard, but I changed the pickguard to a black one. I put 2 humbuckers on it. I added a Floyd Rose. I did all sorts of things with it. I think it was a 98, if I'm not mistaken. Great guitar, I just wasn't playing it much. So the frets were starting to rust out. The strings were always rusted on it. The putts were scratchy. it just wasn't getting any play, so I figured I'd just let it go and make somebody else happy. What's your favorite beer or alcoholic beverage? That's a really hard question. Right now, I am really into New England IPAs or hazy IPAs, and there's two really good microbreweries where I live, Strange Brewing and Princeton, and I really enjoy their beers. I also really enjoy Argentinian red wine, of course. And of course, Malbec. None of that Merlot bullshit for me. And I really like whiskey. The thing with whiskey is that I really enjoy the Black Label and above, and they don't come cheap. So yeah, for a full-time musician during the pandemic times, it's really hard to afford. So yeah, needless to say, I haven't bought any whiskey in a long time. Well, I gotta tell you, really good questions this time around. Touring or recording? That's a tough one. Touring. Definitely touring. I mean, my favorite thing to do is to play live and to travel and to meet new people. So you get all of that in touring. The thing with touring though is that you have to move from one city to the next and you have to play. And you don't really have a lot of time to visit and relax because you have to drive to the next place and you really need to rest before and after a show. And it can be really stressful. So many things can go south so quick and so easily. Stolen gear, not getting paid, bad sleeping arrangements, hangovers, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and last question for today. And I gotta tell you, these questions were really good and really interesting. I had fun today. Oh, and of course, before I forget, don't forget to drop me a like, drop me a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel like a man if you haven't yet. And if you want to become a part of the team and really help the channel out, please hit that join button down there. You can actually become a member of the channel now for less than the price of a cup of coffee. And of course, it goes a long way towards helping the channel out. And I really do appreciate it. Okay, so the last question is, if you got a chance to build a signature guitar, what would be its design and specs? That's a really hard question. I mean, when I was a teen, I really wanted to build a custom guitar. But then over the years, with all the experience, I learned that a lot of times what really sounds good on paper doesn't necessarily sound good through the amplifier. I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in the day, before Kiesel, we had Carving guitars, Carving USA, and they would make guitars to order via catalog. So you could choose your guitar body shape, the body wood, the neck wood, the fretboard wood, fret wire, guitar pickups, etc. Basically, all the components of the guitar. And you would pay for half of it up front. They would build the guitar to you, you'd pay the balance, and they would ship it to you. And then basically, you would have a custom built guitar to your specs. Well, most times, that guitar sadly sounded like shit. There's a reason why guitars are built a certain way, and there's pickup and wood combinations and body combinations that we know are going to work and sound great. So if I had to make my own guitar, it would have to be either a V-shape like a Randy Rhoads guitar or a Les Paul shaped guitar, because those are the ones I use mostly. So if I'm going with a V-shape, it would have to be as close as possible to my Randy Rhoads one, because I love that thing. I don't think I would change anything on it, to be honest. Maybe I would try one with 24 frets to see if I can get used to it. But other than that, the guitar's perfect. Now, if I am going with a Les Paul shape, I would get a Les Paul custom with a Floyd Rose and a heelless joint like an Axis. So basically a Les Paul custom Axis. I guess I would just put my signature on it or a logo or something on it. And that would be that. Alright guys, so I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys next time. Pat out, metal on dudes.